Hello, and welcome to WAHM Radio. I'm your host, Sheena Diane, your work-at-home mom. Today, we are going to discuss businesses you can do with low overhead. I've gotten a lot of questions about this, and I think you guys would really get some benefits out of what I'm going to say next. Stay tuned. Welcome back to WAHM Radio. In this episode, we are going to talk about businesses you can do with very little overhead. I'm going to talk about one of the first businesses that my husband and I started called the Doggy Guru, and that was a dog training business. Now, with this type of business, you will have to have some type of knowledge on animal behavior. My husband Johnny came from working at a gator park where he trained alligators and reptiles to do certain tasks. So coming from training alligators to training dogs was fairly simple for him because, well, dogs just listen a lot better than alligators, right? So this was a great career for him, and we ended up having this business for about 5 years. We got so much business that we were actually turning people away. Johnny was only able to do so many things in the time of day that he had, and so we were actually having to turn people away or put them on a waiting list. Even after we decided to dissolve the business 5 years later, we were still getting calls from people who wanted the Doggy Guru's help. Now, my husband specialized in in helping dogs that had issues, not the sitting, stay, roll over type of dogs, but the dogs that would bark, run, bite, jump, that sort of things. So he was actually so good at this craft that he was able to fix the problem within 4 sessions, sometimes even less. So this was a great career for us, and it had very little overhead. Now, in batting in my husband's corner, I did do all the work for him, so he didn't have to pay anyone else to do it. I created the website. I created the domain name. I did all the appointments and booked all of the sessions. And I also took all of the photos for the website as well as did the website content because I was a freelance writer. So on my husband's side of things, really didn't cost him a lot of money. But if you wanted to do this on your own, you will have to pay someone to design your website if you don't know how to do that. But they do have some really great templates on WordPress for free that you can just kind of plug in and do it yourself. But you are going to have to pay for the hosting, and you will have to pay for the domain name. So those are 2 things right off the bat that you will have to pay for. Now, back when we were doing the Doggy Guru, there was no Facebook. It was all MySpace back then. So there was no Facebook ads or anything, and I did all of my advertising for free on like free ad places like Craigslist and things like that. And that actually brought us in quite a lot of business. As I was saying, we ended up getting so much business that we had to turn people away. So if this is something that you want to do, really the biggest overhead is going to be gas. You're going to have to pay for the gas to get to the places that you want to go. Or you can also pay for things like collars and leashes if you want to offer that, or special treats to give the dogs while you're there. But we never paid for that. We just used what the owners had. So that was a great way of us starting a new business without a lot of overhead. Now, if you don't have any knowledge on animal behavior, that's okay, because you don't want to go starting into this and just say, hey, I watched a couple episodes of The Dog Whisperer and now I'm good. No, you have to have some type of ability to train animals before you do a business like this. So if this is not you, that's okay. There are other careers that you can do along the same field. You can do dog walking. If you live in a city, there are a ton of need for dog walkers. Dogs are in their apartments all day long while the owners are at work and they need to be walked. This is a great one, even less overhead. Other than the gas, that's pretty much it. You don't even need a website. You can just post your ads on places like Craigslist and Facebook and get business. You don't really have to sell yourself or your skills, right? Because you're just dog walking, so you can just go in, get the dog from the porch, return him to the porch when you're done after the hour walk, and you are good to go. Of course, you're probably going to need to invest in some bags or something to pick up the poop along the way, but that's pretty much it. So dog walking is a great and can be a pretty lucrative career if you get the right clients, right? So on this same concept, let's go a little bit further and talk about pet sitting. When I first became a freelance writer, I was actually a writer for a pet sitting blog, and they were actually a pretty big business, this pet sitting company that I worked for. So pet sitting can be very lucrative if you get into the right field and know the right people. And you can offer your house up to pet sit, or you can pet sit for other people's animals. If you guys want to hear more, stay tuned to the next episode of WAHM Radio. Welcome back to WAHM Radio. In the last episode, we talked about some businesses that you can do with very little overhead. Continuing on that same subject, we are going to talk about poop. That's right, poop. I have 4 dogs, and my yard looks like a landmine, and I definitely would pay someone to come out and clean up the poop from my yard. So, if you don't want to do a dog walking or dog sitting or dog training, why not clean up after the dogs and pick up their poop? I know for a fact that our homeowners association actually pays someone to do this for us. They don't let dogs poop on the sidewalks or on the side of the roads, and if they do, we get a fine. But if they don't catch us, that poop is still there. So they actually pay someone to come out and pick up the poop. Why not let that be you? This is great. This is very little overhead. Really only thing you need is all the materials to pick it up, gloves, and probably plastic bags, that sort of thing. And if you want to get one of those tweezer things so you don't have to actually grab the poop, you can do that as well. But really could be a lucrative career with very little overhead as long as you don't mind poop. So also we are going to talk about, and the last thing we're going to talk about today is breeding worms. And that's what we do currently. We own a business called Sunshine Breeders. You can go to sunshinebreeders.com to check us out. We breed mealworms, superworms, and earthworms. And the way this came about is because we have a ton of lizards and we got tired of buying food for our lizards. And also I come from a veterinary technician background, and it's very important to me to know what goes into the food that I'm feeding my animals. When you buy the pet store type worms, you never really know, and they always look very skinny and they die pretty quickly. So after a while, we started breeding our own worms, feeding them organic foods like broccoli stems and asparagus and things that were really healthy for them, as well as putting calcium in their bedding so that they are getting a lot of great nutrition for our lizards. Well, after about a year, we ended up having so many worms that we didn't know what to do with them, and Sunshine Breeders was born. We actually got a contract with Johnny's Work because they have a fishing pond there where we actually sell our fishing worms to them. Now, because of this, we did have to go out and get an LLC, so this did cost us a little bit more money than some of the other businesses we started because we had to do it legally. In order to get paid from a company, you have to have a company bank account, which involves having a LLC or being incorporated of somehow. So we had to do this. Cost us a little bit more extra to do that. We also had to buy the cups and the logo as well as the little stickers to put on the cups. So we did end up spending a little bit more money on this than you would have to if you were just going to sell it to friends and family. Put them in a Dixie cup and you're good to go, right? So you don't really have to worry about all that overhead. But if you did want to go this route, really a great business to start because the worms kind of take care of themselves. You just have to feed them and, go through them and sort them. It really only takes time on your part to sort them and go through them. But the rest of the stuff they do, pretty easy career. You can also do this with vending machines. And this is actually one of the reasons why we started this in the LLC, because we were really considering buying a vending machine and putting the bait in them. Now, it didn't actually work out because we just decided that we're kind of done with the worms. We have a lot of other goals going on right now, and I am so focused on my new career that worms are kind of taking a back seat for us. So we're not going to continue on the worm business. We're actually dissolving this business this year. But if you want to get into this business, it would be a very great and lucrative career if you get the right market. Start selling your stuff to local pet stores, fishing shops, things like that, and you can really start making a lot of money because the worms breed themselves. Once you buy your initial set of worms, you're set. You're set to go. Everything else they do for you. You just have to feed them and maintain them, and that's it. So this would be a great career if you're thinking about doing something with animals, fishing, reptile food. Really can make some good money doing this as long as you hit the right market. We decided to stay local and go small. So we didn't really make that much with our worm business, but that's really because we didn't really want to put the time and energy into it. So that was our fault. But if we did put the time and energy into it, I know we can make good money because we still are making sales to this day. Just actually delivered some worms this morning. So it is still a good business to start. Very little overhead. Good luck. You guys want to find me? I am on Instagram, Sheena.Diane, Twitter, SheenaDiane5, Facebook, WAHM Sheena Diane, and always my blog, SheenaDiane.com.